we enjoyed him growing up in a way that is consistent with what we were trying to teach at home.
When they enrolled their son in Macdonald-Cartier Academy, Annie and Richard Lemaire were looking to give him a challenge. MCA is a private co-ed junior high school in Ottawa, offering full French immersion in grades 7 and 8. It delivered the challenge they were after, both mentally and physically. When I spoke with Annie and Richard, they told me about a traditional humanistic approach to education, a community that can laugh together, such as on April Fool's Day, and adventures on canoe trips and long-distance cycling trips that gave the son the extra challenge he needed to get ready for high school. Tell me a bit more about your son and who he is as a student.
You want to start?
Well, he's when he entered Macdonald-Cartier, he was 12.
Yes.
12 years old in grade 7, and he was strong academically and curious child about all kinds of things, and
wanted to be put to a challenge. Yeah. I think, yes, because I think he found it a bit not boring, but easy in elementary school. So he was looking for a challenge.
How does this relate to who he is as a person?
I think he's a quiet child, but I think he likes to read a lot, and he likes challenges. I'd say intellectual challenges, less of sports challenges. And what was interesting is when he met the headmaster of the school for the first time, the headmaster made it very clear to him that he would be challenged academically, but also on the physical side. And he told my son, if you come to our school, you have to jump in both on the academic side and on the sports side. And my son was quite impressed with the school, and he said, I'm ready for it. So I thought that was interesting that he convinced my son to, be up to the challenge.
Now, Macdonald-Cartier Academy is specifically for grade 7, 8 as a preparatory school.
Yep.
Tell me about, your son just graduated after his 2 years there. Tell me about where you were at as a family and where he was at as a student when you first started looking for the place to send him.
I think we, probably like many parents, we did look at many schools before going to high school or middle school. And so we were pretty much aware of all the schools in our area. And he was part of the process. He visited all the schools and was quite aware of what were the strengths and the weaknesses of all the schools. And so a lot of this really also was, we found a good fit for him. So he had a say in where he wanted to go. And there were many good schools in the area. So he really had a say. He really saw what was available. And, I think it was a shared choice in a sense.
Why Macdonald-Cartier only grade 7, 8? Why go there instead of some place that has, more continuity?
That's a very good question, because that's one of the fear that I had, that it'd be just for 2 years. But again, because we felt that this school was really the best fit for our child, we were able to convince ourselves that that was the right choice, really. There are also friends of ours who had their 3 children go to Macdonald-Cartier, and they felt that it was an excellent school. that was one of the reasons, but I think the main reason was, as Richard said, we, took the time to visit a few schools, some of which were going from, grade 7 to 12. And at the end of the day, Simon was of the view that Macdonald-Cartier was really is is number one. So for some various reason, being it's a small school, again, headmaster really had a great personality and seemed really nice, and put Simon to a challenge. And he told him, ahead of time, like, you have good grades in school, but if you come here, you'll face a challenge. And I think that, ça a allumé Simon. He was really
little spark.
There was something really interesting in that approach.
You've mentioned challenge a couple times. Was there something in particular that you were looking for or trying to fix from your previous school situation?
I think he was trying to fix something. I think he lacked that, challenging aspect in elementary school, and he loves science and maths and actually likes reading, and I think this school, we thought, would probably push him a bit further, and that's exactly what happened. They were asking a lot of the students, but at the same time, the teachers were always there to support them and help them and encourage them, and were really enthusiastic. And same in sports, they were asked to do long bike trips, like up to 200 kilometers, and go to the Gatineau Park, which is really hilly. They were asked to do canoe camping, and not in very great comfort, like they were out of their comfort zone. And the first canoe camping is the second week of school in 7th grade, so they don't know each other, and they're asked to spend 2-3 days together
in a tent
with mosquitoes and all the rest of it. So obviously they don't enjoy it very much, but they learn something, and they have a lot to say when they come back. and there are a few events like this every year, and they enjoy it in some ways, but the challenges are there, and they grow up, and it's good to see. As parents, it was really satisfactory to see that.
Annie, you were saying earlier how the physical challenge, the schoolroom challenge, he was ready and looking for. The physical challenge was something the headmaster had to talk him up into a bit. When he came back from that first canoe trip, his first weeks of experience with the school, he said a lot of things. What did he say?
Well, he was, one thing that was great is that he was talking about all those kids that he didn't know anything about 2 weeks before. And now you really learn to know these girls and boys much better in those 2-3 days together. And they learn that they're not alone being afraid of being on the river, or spending time building their tent by themselves. Nobody would, they would dare, the teachers were there, but the kids had to put their tent up and do foods and do all kinds of things they're not used to do. But they realized that they're not alone, not being comfortable, in the outdoors.
In other situations, talking about school athletics, we might be talking about soccer or hockey or something like that. Yeah. Here we're talking about canoe camping, long distance cycling. What's behind that choice?
Well, they do the regular physical activities in school. One thing that maybe we were surprised to see when we visited the school is that there was no gym on site. It's a small school, and they don't have the facilities that you normally see in the great high schools. But the school is really focused on physical activities. So they will do soccer outside in the city park. they would do all the regular sports in the city gym, and they would do sports every day. They would do cross-country skiing during winter time, and every day, if you stay at school after school hours, you have to go for a walk with the teachers before you start your studying after school. So they have to be physically active every day, which is great. So they don't have the facility that other schools may have, but the direction that is given by the headmaster is that physical activity is just essential to any child.
I think it's part of what I don't want to speak for him, but experiential learning is a big part of the curriculum also. So it's not just sports, it's actually part of the learning process.
How does that translate into a different area?
I think probably pushing yourself and sort of not giving up, and it is for many people. I think cycling 200 kilometers over 3 days is a big challenge, and they do it on the roads too. So it's it's like
it's rain or shine.
Yeah, rain or shine, and you have to go all the way, and then you end up setting up camp, and so I think you have to. It pushes you to go, push your limits. And see if pushing your limits basically, and seeing what you're able to do, and realizing that you are able to do it. And
talking about experiential learning, about challenging yourself, what does this look like in the classroom?
I think that like in math, for example, they will do the regular math curriculum, and then they're pushing them to, towards the end of the year, I think they've gone through half of the next year. And they also have those problem-solving quiz or thing that they do as a team. So they put forward a problem or a challenge, and they're asked to resolve those problems as a team. Again, to push them to think further, to have critical thinking, and I think they enjoy that quite a bit. And in science, same thing. They have the science fair, and the science fair can bring them to participate in competition against other schools. So I find that they're really focused. They don't have a great variety of activities, but they pick and choose excellent activities, and they push everyone to participate and to do the best that they can in all those areas. So it'd be science, it'd be theater, it'd be public speaking. So they have those I'd say requirements, because everyone has to participate. It's not optional. But at the same time, again, they really offer great support, and they are trying to encourage the kids to be as good as they can be. And it's great.
With all those different subjects in mind, what kind of subject was the favorite for Simon, and which, on the other hand, was the least favorite?
I'd say, science is always a winner. And the science teacher was there for the past, I think since the opening of the school 29 years ago or 30 years ago. And she was, I think, that vedette. Like, she was great. She was as great as can be, I think. Everyone loved her, and former kids, when they were coming back to MCA to see, the director or the teacher, I think that, that science teacher was really, really, really appreciated by everyone. And, but I think the teachers generally were great, but something happened with that teacher that made her exceptional. So science was at the top of the list, that being said, I'd say that the math teacher, computer teacher, English teacher, science teacher, French teacher, I think he enjoyed them all. Yeah. And I think that even if some matters are less interesting, because all the teachers were so dynamic and they made their class so interesting, that at the end of the day, we never heard of, oh, I have this kind of class today. I don't want to do that. I didn't hear that, during the past 2 years. So they were really interesting. Social science also, they learned things that were really, really great. They wrote letters to, people from the 700s and 1700s, and that was really, really interesting. And they had to write the way they used to write, with the sealed envelope and all that. Very interesting.
Very creative way of sort of learning the history or geography, it's pretty much make it kind of more alive. And like if you were, I think it was like if you were a general in this war,
yes,
and you had to command your troops or something, what would you say and what would your strategy be? And so, but all that really learning, I guess, a battle of some sort. In history, and so it's one way of learning the history.
Yeah. And in French reading, they had to use puppets to reproduce a story that they just read, but with les marionnettes, with puppets. So they had to go outside the box to not just summarize a book that you just had to read, but to explain it in a way that showed creativity. And
how did this classroom approach compare to what Simon was experiencing at his previous school?
I think we loved the other school as well. We enjoyed it. We thought he learned a lot there too. But I think that the MCA, it was accelerated. It's on an accelerated basis. So they had to work much more than in elementary school. And like, for example, an essay would have to have at least 2,000 words. But he would challenge himself and say, well, I'm going to try and put 3,000 words or 4,000 words. And, and the teachers would, make comments and, help them improve their writing skills. And so he felt that, the English teacher, for example, was really interested in what he was writing, not just correct his copies, but, share comments. And if she enjoyed something, she would say so. That was very original or very interesting. So I think that, children feel when the teachers are involved and interested in what they're doing. And I think that it makes, it made the school very interesting that way.
Now, MCA also specializes in French immersion, correct?
Yes.
How important was that for you when choosing the right school?
Not really, because we were both quite francophone, and we speak French all the time. And Simon's predominantly speaks French, went to a public French elementary school. And so that wasn't as much the focus. Actually, it was almost a worry, actually, that his French, because it's immersion, might not be equivalent to a regular French school. And so for us, it was the opposite concern in a sense. But really, the level of French was fine, and he was challenged, and because everything's in French. And you're highly encouraged to speak French. And actually, if there's too much English going on, you have to write some verbs, and you're sort of kind of reprimanded for doing that in a nice way. So really the accent is on French and speaking French and learning French in everything except for English class.
And also as a francophone, he was asked to show leadership.
Yeah.
And, to help others that, have maybe more difficulty in French because their first language is English. So they were trying to find him a role, and also to other kids who are francophones. They were trying to encourage them to be leaders. Did he succeed? I'm not sure. But they were encouraging him to do so.
You got a really good understanding of all the different school options in your area when you were going through this decision-making process. What was it that made MCA stand out?
I think it's the small groups, individual approach, again, the challenges that were offered to Simon, the traditional approach. Maybe we're old-fashioned. That was us. We thought that the traditional approach, some sort of a humanistic approach as well, very person to person and very easy to talk to the headmaster, and him being very frank about, his views and his approach. And so I think that what attracted us as parents. And again, for Simon, it was small groups. He enjoyed that. And I think he was a bit fearful of the high school with dozens of kids. So that was, I guess, comforting for him, and also the challenges. I think that was the hit for him.
And for me, I think seeing as I knew my son has, certain athletic ability, but certainly the fact that he was doing the activities that I like to do, and can't always convince him to do. I was happy that those were part of the curriculum, and there was a focus on that.
MCA was started 30 years ago by this headmaster who we're talking about. There's a small teaching staff with a few other teachers who have been there for all or most of that time. In your own words, I'm wondering how you would describe the philosophy that the headmaster and these educators bring to MCA.
What's interesting about the staff is that there's the headmaster, there's the science teacher who's been there since the beginning, and then you have the English teacher who's been there for about, let's say, maybe 15 years, quite a long time. And then the other teachers are of the new generation, like 5 years, 3 years experience. So there's a good mix of, I guess, les fondateurs, the staff who was there since it started, and the, newcomers. And it makes a great mix in the sense that it's well diversified, but at the same time, I think the headmaster chooses well his people, and they go in the same direction. And that direction, again, is being close to the kids, challenging the kids, but supporting the kids and having fun with the kids. My son has had fun at that school. Even if I was leaving him until 5 o'clock at night because I was working, he would stay there, study, but enjoyed being there because the teacher would be there. He liked all the teachers there. And those teachers were there when they were biking, when they were hiking, when they were canoeing. They were all there, and they would be part of every activity: skiing, alpine skiing, cross-country skiing, theater. They would be part of all those activities, and they knew the teachers very well, and the teachers knew the kids very well. So it was like I wouldn't say a family, but a group where everyone knows everyone else. Not everyone likes everyone else, but I think there's great respect between the kids, and that's not imposed. I think that's what transpires from the staff. Yeah. You have to respect each other. Everyone has a place, has something to offer, and that's the way it is. So that was a great philosophy I found.
What happens when you have this mixing of the old school and the new school, as far as teachers of two different generations as colleagues?
I got the sense that they had a good group spirit, and I think that those who, for the newer ones, they sort of aspired to continue the same philosophy and to be and to sort of educate the kids in the same fashion. So with a lot of they put in a lot of extra work, I think. This is all the teachers do something, maybe something special as a social evening where they bring them out as a group and do pottery or something. Yeah, but that's, they have to do something else. Or if it's the required activities, it's just always the same energy, the same enthusiasm. Nobody is dragging their feet. And they were like, the plays they put on, it's just like a huge amount of extra, work goes into these productions and social evenings, and there's a lot of work, and you never get the impression that, somebody's sort of has to be there. It's just, I don't know, it's just you get that sense that they enjoy it. They get a lot out of it too, I think. They're very proud when they see their students succeed. So that's it seems to be a good fit from our point of view anyway, that that they have a good cohesion.
Yes, and they put a good show.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, if it's play night, they're going to do their own thing, and if it's a Christmas party, they're going to put costumes on, and Halloween, they're going to put, if it's April Fools, well, the headmaster will trick them for good, and they're going to be part of the fun. Like they all like to be part of the fun, and it works really well.
I would really love to hear about an April Fool's prank that the headmaster pulled if you had one. But really, I would love to hear any special memory that might be sticking out for you at this time.
I think he told me, not one that we had to go through, but I think one year he said that he had told the kids that they would have a free afternoon. And that wasn't the case. So I don't know how he tricked them, but apparently he had a lot of fun. But the kids took a revenge. So they know each other very well, and that's the way they have fun. And Simon last year wanted to go in early to start putting stuff in the classroom and everything, but the headmaster, being experienced, had locked all the doors because he could see kids coming and do things that they shouldn't be doing. So they're I think it's a good atmosphere that way, because they allow students to have fun, and they themselves have great fun with the students. So
yeah, I think they're allowed to be themselves. So there's sports teams also, and so those who are more athletic and, they're great teams, and everybody's, there's a place for everybody. I think, it's good that
With
way.
all these things in mind, how would you describe the culture and values of Macdonald-Cartier?
I'd say respect. I'd say learning to know you and the others. I'd say you have to learn to
get along,
and
you have to get to, one of the things he said at the closing ceremonies last year, and is there's no there are no cell phones allowed in the school, and he said at the end, at least for 2 years, you've had to speak to each other face to face, for 2 years, and after school you do what you want, but during school time, so you've had to get to know each other and speak with each other and get along and get over differences, and but in a very humanistic way, in a very personal way, and so those are respect and hard work, and those are the main values that I think he's promoting.
Richard, Annie, my thought experiment for you now is if you woke up tomorrow and you guys were the headmasters, what would be one strength that you would invest in and double down on? And what would be one challenge that you would work to fix?
Well, I think that, like Richard said, respect is great, because I don't think that they had to make discipline in class. I don't think that kids ever felt isolated. So I think that I would strive on continuing to push for this. I think this particular value of seeing the best out of everyone, and respecting everyone. One thing that maybe, in an ideal world, I would have a huge library, and up, cutting edge equipment. But it was not something that they had, but I think they did very well without it, because to me, not having a library in a school is like a crime. But they didn't have a library, but they were strongly encouraging kids to read at least 1,000 pages of novels and books every semester, or every les étapes, c'est quoi en anglais? Every semester, to get additional marks if they were to read those numerous pages. And they were suggesting books and lending books, and so they were doing it in another way. But I find that in an ideal world, they would have a wonderful library, but they didn't. And my son said that the equipment was not the greatest, like the computers and stuff, but I don't think they needed it, because everyone has their own equipment at home. So. And
they learned what they needed to in terms of the practical stuff, and the word processing and the presentations and all that stuff. So that they learned, so they got what they needed. I would add, for the one thing is the experiential learning, the physical components, kind of pushing yourself, learning your limits and all that. That's something that's just kind of unique to this school, I think. Well, I don't know if it's unique to this school, but it's it is the thing that I really enjoyed as being part of the curriculum, that I think he got a lot out of it. Because not all kids are really good in sports, but at least this way. And sometimes the school sports are all team sports. And then you realize later on in life that there's other sports and there's other things that you can do to stay active and healthy. And I think that's a big part of it. It teaches them that, you can stay active and healthy, even if you're not on a team or what have you, and still enjoy physical activity. So that's one big thing that I enjoyed.
So Richard, I'm going to have to challenge you to take it a step further there. There's one strength that you would invest in. What would be a challenge that you would work on?
I'm going to have to say the same thing, Zanny. I think when I went to a big public high school, and there was lots of everything, and when you walk in and there's no library, and there's and then things are a little older, no gym, and things are a little older. You wonder if it's going to be, if that lack of equipment is going to have an impact. It is a question. So it was not a concern, but it is a question I had. And so that's probably one thing where I think after 2 years, or even after 1 year, you realize that it's not a problem, but it is something that that kind of surprises you as you walk in.
What has surprised you the most over these recent years with MCA? Maybe something that Simon got out of it that you weren't expecting at first.
Yeah, he grew up, and he would have grown up, had he been anywhere else as well. But I think that they grew up beautifully, in the sense that they're taught good values, and again, they're values that we favor. And I think it's different for everyone. Like, everyone has their own values, sets of values, and that's fine. But I think that we enjoyed him growing up in a way that is consistent with what we were trying to teach at home. So I think the choice was wise. And frankly, I'm happy that he's the one who pushed for that school. And that makes me happy because it shows that he learned something from us, and possibly he made a good choice because he already had those values in him, but they help him develop those values further, which is good.